And finally, new rule in honor of Earth Day. This Wednesday, America must go all out to save a creature that's on the verge of extinction. I'm talking, of course, about the Republican politician who believes in science. Now, most zombie lies about the environment are prefaced by the phrase, "I'm not a scientist." Jeb Bush says that. So does Marco Rubio. John Boehner says, "I'm not qualified to debate science." And Rick Perry says, "Oh my God, my hands are gone. Wait, they're in my... Wait, they're in my pockets." Oh, Rick, of all the things you have to worry about, people mistaking you for a scientist should be very far down the list. No, Rick, you're a legislator, which means you have to vote on things like building new highways, even though you're not a dump truck. Rick also says, "I don't believe man-made global warming is settled in science." Well, they all have some variation on that one. Jeb Bush's twist is to say it is not unanimous among scientists, because that feeds the needs more study myth that was pioneered by a long discredited half-wit, or as Jeb calls him, my brother. Now, of course, scientific fact is never unanimous. There will always be some mountain man somewhere with a PhD in bird calls who says temperature spikes are caused by God farts. However, in 2013, an MIT professor studied almost 11,000 peer-reviewed articles about climate change, and there were only 2 dissenters. So yes, there is a scientific community that doubts climate change, but it could fit on a motorcycle. Or how about this one? Let's not panic about the Earth warming. In the 70s, everyone was told global cooling was a really big problem. No, not everyone, just one article in Newsweek that, for the deniers, is the Dewey defeats Truman of science. The one time a newspaper in 1948 Chicago got an election result wrong, and it proved that journalism is a hoax and Chicago is just a theory.
As always, the subject of current events and Trump and politics and a couple of issues came up. And then the issue of climate change came up, and one of the guys said, "Look, I know, Rush, I know, but I tell you, I don't know what's wrong with it. Why don't we pursue it? Why don't we take them at their word? Look at the economic benefits that would accrue if we began to attack it." My mouth fell open in shock and dismay. And we get a discussion here. And this was good for me, because this is somebody on our side who has fallen prey to the very seductive language and so forth put forth by the global warming or climate change advocates. And so I had to use some unique techniques here in discussing this, rather than the scientific data or the usual left versus right lingo. I asked him a question. I said, I want you to pretend, let's hypothetically pretend that there is no man-made climate change. None. Nobody's alleging any. There isn't any at all. Now, further, I want you to assume that you are the Secretary of Commerce or the Secretary of Science and whatever. You're in the Trump administration. You have a cabinet-level position that grants you oversight over such things as climate change and whatever other scientific things that would impact the administration. I want you to imagine that Trump calls you into a private meeting in the Oval Office and says, "Albert, I'm cold. I don't like being cold, and I want to warm it up. And I've heard from scientists that this can be done. So I want you to put together a policy initiative that would succeed in raising the overall world temperature 1 degree Celsius in 25 years. I want to hear from you in 2 weeks, Albert." So I asked that situation that happens. What would you do? What would you do, Albert? You believe it. You think they're telling you the truth? What would you do? And, of course, there was no answer. Albert is a fake name. I'm making up a name. The guy's name's not Albert. Don't worry, I would not betray.